Hey everybody, Kaye here on my homestead in Tennessee. Welcome to a closet in my house. We're gonna look in some boxes and see what we can find. This was one of my really amazing projects, which you have not seen. Okay, a little context. I am a gardener, and this is a gardening channel. But it's winter, and in the 1980s I was quite the seamstress. I made all my clothes, from coats to outfits, blouses, jackets, skirts to match, and even evening gowns. In the 90s, let's see, it would have been the late 90s, I started knitting. And so for about 10 years, I was this mad knitter. And it was more fun than sewing. I mean, I love sewing, don't get me wrong, but I did a lot of knitting. And there's a story there, how I got into it again, which I've told before. My friend has been saying, if you just take one box per day, open one box. Now, I've been here for 4 years, but I just hit the ground running and everything was about gardening, cooking, preserving food, homesteading, sustainability, prepping, all of that. And I never really moved in, kind of. Downstairs pretty well, but a lot of art never got put on the walls, and the boxes upstairs never got opened. Well, you've seen a number of my sweaters because I try to wear them in the winter. Well, I was going to go outside and do a garden update video, and I thought, gosh, I've got a sweater that would really look good with this plaid shirt. But I haven't seen it since I've been here for 4 years. So I know it's in one of the boxes that I never opened. And so I just opened one box. Yeah, I just opened this one box. It's not quite empty. And I pulled out all of this knitting and I thought, I have to share this. So let's have you come into the closet a little closer. Hang on. Hold tight. The light's going to change a little bit because we're inside the closet. But hopefully you can see. The light's right over my head, so I look like I have a white crown. Anyway, I bought a bunch of these boxes when I was in California. They're drawer type boxes. For some strange reason, 4 years in a cardboard box, and the front is all, I don't know if you can see that, but it's all yellow. I don't know why. It's just in the front. It's odd. But this particular drawer is just, well, here are my straight needles, but I usually use circular needles. And I've got I think this was mostly my orange. I had my yarn separated by color. My coral, orange, reds were all in a drawer. Because there were all these projects that never got finished, you know, or started, I should say. But I wanted to, this was on top. This was one of the first things I made when I started knitting again. Hope you can see everything okay. By this point, I had a son at the Waldorf school, and he was in kindergarten. They have 2 years of kindergarten, and the kindergarten teacher, you know, knitting is one of the things, handcrafts, sewing, woodworking, wood carving. They do a lot of things at the Waldorf school that are very tactile and teach you skills. And so my teacher, his teacher said, you really need to be knitting, Kaye. And I had not knitted literally in 10 years. The whole time I was sewing, I didn't knit. Because, you know, when I stopped knitting, it was straight metal needles were the norm, and all the yarns were made in the US, and it was mostly acrylic and nothing really special. You could get mohair and cashmere and just, you know, but in that 10 years, all the mills in Europe just started cranking out these fabulous yarns. And so when I went back into a yarn store, it was just like, I was a kid in a candy store. I was like, look at that yarn, look at that yarn, look at that yarn, you know. And of course I started with scarves. I just remembered I did do a little bit of knitting in New York when I was sewing. And I made the very first thing I knitted, I remember it well. It was a triangular shawl, and I made it when I was about 22. Later, you know, maybe 7 or 8 years later, and I had these sweater bags which really protected these older sweaters. This is 100% cotton. So I knitted this when I was in New York, when I was small and thin. And this is a white V-neck crochet. This looks like knitting. Anyway, isn't this lovely? And it's not quite. Sometime between 98 and 2001 or 2 that I started up again in earnest. So let's see, 98. So that would have been 88. Yeah. So this was another vest I made, and this was just a little 1-inch square patchwork with just a little edging on it. So it's just 2 simple pieces, and lilac and purple. I haven't looked at this in at least 25 years, I guess. Wow, I don't hardly even remember doing this, but obviously I did. This feels like a blend, and this is just another little vest. This is a big scoop neck, so you gotta wear something. Well, no, I guess you wouldn't have to, but you kind of want to wear something underneath that. And I'm sure if I ever wore it, I probably wore it once. I don't know. I remember going in and buying the yarn for this, and this was more ambitious because it had buttons. And this was another vest that feels like a cotton, feels like all cotton really, with a ribbed on the sleeves and the front. And let's see, just some pretty shell buttons. This was probably before I discovered it's about 3 inches separated, so that, you know, it's much thinner. Those are 4 projects I did, you know, before the 90s anyway. There was a big move to LA in '88. I thought, you know, I felt like I kind of ran the gamut of jobs, acting jobs in New York, because I was this sort of, we used to call them Procter & Gamble look, IBM look, you know, with just this sort of the honey blonde hair, and I had, you know, hair to here, and did commercials and stuff, but there weren't really any shows they were doing in New York that I was right for, and except, you know, soap operas and stuff. But anyway, when I came, you know, back and my son was at Waldorf, I just jumped in, and of course every extra dollar was spent. And I made this vest. See it? This was for my son, and it's got these beautiful wooden buttons. This is not the best setup to do this, but this is where I am. So, you know, I could pull out projects all day, so we won't go too far with that. But I mainly jumped into making scarves. Oh gosh, this hat. Now this hat was from this hat was from New York, and this was a mohair. It was very, oh my goodness. Don't tell me my head got bigger too. Oh, you have no idea. Whoo, how warm that is. That's like a mohair. I could do another video and just do my scarves, show you my scarves, but I just found all these wonderful, fun yarns to knit. This is like a knobby kind of thing. It's got like a knob and then a string, and so when you knit it all together, even though you're just doing a straight knit on it and doing fringe, it's just really interesting looking, you know. We're gonna open a box, and it's gonna be a surprise to me because that's been packed since, well, it went into the box the beginning of 2020. Wow. I really should spread this out on the bed. Look at that, and look at these fabulous buttons. Absolutely. Oh, it's just two, okay. And then I did a loop with the fuzzy yarn for the button. And I'm pretty sure I made this one up. This was one of the simple box jackets with a V-neck. You don't really need a pattern for this if you know what you're doing. And all of this is just the interesting yarn. Okay, so I just put kind of this fluffy cuff on it. This is just, let's see. I actually don't remember how I did this. You know, when you work on a pattern and you finish it, it kind of goes out of your mind. And you may have a pattern in a book somewhere, or you may have just written down some instructions for yourself. But that was one of my very successful projects. Back in this drawer, what do we got here? This is oh yeah, this is another jacket. This is a summer jacket. So this is an acrylic, so it's lightweight, and it's a short sleeve jacket with pockets. And this particular yarn, you know, a cotton or wool yarn is going to have more body and retain more of the structure, whereas an acrylic is going to sag on you, you know. So even though it was fun to work on it, and I put these fabulous Art Deco buttons on it, it's kind of saggy. I don't remember what this is. I have to look at it. Oh yeah, this is it's another big jacket with a shawl collar, I think. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, this is like a coat sweater. It's gotten picked a little bit there. It needs to be pulled back in, but that's another big kind of acrylic blend coat sweater. And this is a purse I was making that I never finished. You can start these projects, and then if you just kind of lose interest, I needed to sew on the straps. It was just, you know, a loose bag kind of thing, and I have the rest of the yarn in there. I could do it, you know, but who's got the time? All right, let's get over to this box. Okay, I'm going to climb in here. Oh, first of all, I do not remember. I know I've had this box, this red box, for 30 years probably. Honestly, I do not remember. I will remember as soon as I open it, but I don't remember what's in it. Ah, yes, okay. These are two summer sweaters. Look how tiny. This looks like it would fit a 17-year-old. This is cotton with a kind of a mock turtleneck and a short cropped sleeve. And let's see, the other one's probably similar, in an aqua. Oh yeah, this is pretty. It has the open work on the shoulder. And it's a softer, kind of stretchy cotton yarn. And, you know, all I need to do is lose 15 pounds and I can wear all this stuff. Not in the garden though. I don't want to wear anything I've handmade in the garden. Okay, here's the box. And for this series, I'm going to take one box per video, although you've already had quite a preview. You can see this is sealed, and that's not my handwriting. I did have an intern that helped me pack up some of my, well, she helped me pack up my closet. I had this small closet, but it was stuffed from the ceiling to the floor. And it was just absolutely remarkable how much stuff I had in there. This would go faster if I had a knife. Like fabric. You remember when I used to sew, you always have fabric left over, and I would keep all the pieces. Oh, this is a fabulous, fabulous wool gabardine. And this is, I think that's a polished cotton. I made the most amazing outfit out of this and this. I think I did. Or this might have been something additional. But I made a Perry Ellis. Perry Ellis was he was alive, and it was a very popular brand back in the 80s when I sewed. And this is a sewing book teaching about straight stitching and other things. Okay, and so this is, I would just wind up with these pieces of fabric. This has the, and I never made anything out of this. This is a beautiful herringbone pattern cotton, polished cotton, I believe. And then I bought some fabrics from this store where my friend Linda worked. And I guess that's why these have labels. You wouldn't have a label if you went into the store and bought a piece of fabric. This is a large piece of fabric that feels like it feels kind of like a polished linen, but there's no such thing as polished linen. And this is definitely cotton. Wow. So, okay. And there's stuff underneath it. Oh, we're about to come to something interesting. Underneath the red is, let's see. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's a beautiful pattern on this gray fabric, and then there's cream, and then there is a black silky fabric with spots. Oh my gosh, I would have to pull them all out, put them on the table and show you. Okay, now I don't know where it is. Oh, there it is. Oh my gosh. I have most of, on this rack here, I have most of the majority of clothes that I made in the 80s. Of this, let's see if you can see it a little bit better. I'm going to try to find that pattern, and maybe we'll do it again, do another video. But I bought this fabulous, this is just a remnant. This, and you could use this fabric on the gold side if you wanted to, but it's the design is on this side, and it's just this absolutely emerald green, stunning. And I bought this Vogue designer pattern that came in a convertible. The patterns often come, you can either maybe wear them with long sleeves, or there's a short sleeve version, or there's pants, or a skirt version, or something to make your pattern really worth the money, you could make 2 or 3 different outfits with the same pattern. And with that fabric, I made this dress. Which is a strapless cocktail dress. I wore it, I think, one time. We had a party at our apartment, and I wore it, and it's a strapless number, and it has a peplin, you see. This is actually really dark green, but I see in the camera it's coming out kind of light because of the sheen. But it has a peplin. That's when you have just a little short skirt that goes around. And I haven't had this dress on since 1985. But you see the peplin stops here, and it's beautifully sewn together. You can't even tell. Zipper in the back. And the zipper, see, the peplin has to be sewn to the bodice. Can you see that? See, the peplin, this is the peplin, has to be sewn to the bodice before you put the zipper in. That's why you have to have a slit here, because the zipper has to go down, you see, and this is not attached. So the bodice is lined with the fabric, and then there's just one layer of the skirt because you have the peplin. And it was fabulous. And I had these bronze, shiny bronze strappy high heels, and it was quite the number. And you see how I made it perfect in the back with the spots coming together perfectly? Look at that. Boom. Well, that's not quite perfect because it's, you know, it goes at an angle, but boom, boom, boom in the back where the seam comes together. It almost looks like it's faded a little bit there. You can kind of see that. But, you know, clothes don't last forever. I mean, these have been hanging here for years and years. But everything on this row here I made. And, oh, I made a fabulous dress with this fabric. See, you never want to get rid of this stuff because this is 100% wool knit. And I'm looking in the camera and it looks more pinky purple, but it's actually a real purple. And this was a Donna Karan, if you remember that designer. And this was her signature style when she first hit the big time in the 80s. She made this style dress with a gathered waist, plunging neckline, and then, you know, you would put a pin here or a big belt to hold it together. And she always had a big leather belt with a big gold buckle. I have one somewhere. And knee length, and this is wool knit. This is a lined pocket. And then the zipper just goes from here to here. So I've probably had this dress on maybe 3 times. It's hard for you to see the whole thing. Oh, there we go. But this was her signature style with no shoulder pad. We had gone from big shoulders in the Dallas, you know, the TV show Dallas era, big shoulder pads, to no shoulder pads, and then just all this drapey fabric going into a cinched waist. And you needed a small waist to pull off these dresses. So, all right. I think I've talked a long time. Let's get to the bottom of the box. See if there are any other gems in here. Oh, there's the sweater. Okay, I knew it was in a big, I had it in a big zippered bag, I knew that. I tried to, you know, buy these protective bags. Look at this sweater. Oh my gosh, this sweater, what a story. I made it too big to start with. And so it took so much yarn to do this very, very thick stitch and weave, because it's cable. It's a cable stitch, and huge sleeves. Look at that. And I had to keep ordering more yarn. And I wound up spending an absolute fortune on the yarn. And it was such a hot sweater that and look at this shawl collar. The shawl collar's got several packages of yarn, just the collar. Look at that. The collar goes all the way to the bottom. And the pattern just showed with a belt. Yeah. Just a tie belt, you know, just a simple tie belt, which I should have made longer, because that's barely enough to go around my head, much less my waist. Okay, what else? Oh, there's going to be a lot of stuff in there. I could do videos all winter just on this kind of stuff. There's 3 boxes and 4 containers. Okay. All right, we're going to stop there. I hope you've enjoyed that. I'm just going to put this on for a second because I'll be breaking out in a sweat. But, oh, wow, this is the comfiest, warmest, oh my gosh, it's so comfy. Look at this. But this is Montana. I don't even know if it gets cold enough in Tennessee, but look at these huge sleeves. I mean, this needs to, you know what, I need to have a big button there to just kind of, otherwise you get all this cold air up the sleeve or something. But, you know, when you start a project, you never know, are you going to really finish it well? And at the end of it, there were 2 versions of this coat sweater. You could either stop it at above the knee or calf length. And I should have done it calf length because it's so heavy looking. I just think it looks weird. You know, it would look better just to have a whole coat of it because it's such a huge sweater. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I have so much to say about knitting and sewing, and I know not everybody's interested in that, and my man followers, just have patience with me. It is winter. So thank you so much for watching, and leave me a comment below if you want to see more, because I have so much more. And what I should do is just pull everything out on a rack, lay it on the bed so you can really see it. But what I wanted to do, and I'm not able to do, is I wanted to model the clothes. But I can't do that unless I lose 15 pounds. And it's just unlikely that I'm going to lose 15 pounds in the next 2 weeks so that I can do these over the winter. We'll be starting seeds before you know it. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video.